I just wanted to welcome Digital Spaceport to the stage as well. Super excited to have him join us today and talk about some of the content he's created for Ironfish and just, what got him here.
Yeah, it's exciting. I want to first off say congratulations to the Ironfish team. Everything that you guys have done to get to this point where Mainnet launch is imminent is just really impressive. There's been a ton of work. There is a ton of cool tech and potential on deck with Ironfish. And the execution of your team, the community outreach and contact of your team has been, I mean, just seriously top notch. You don't see this in other cryptos out there. So congratulations to everybody for getting to this point. And yeah, so I mean, that the content that I've been creating around Ironfish, so much of it is centered around the fact that I believe in privacy as being one of the core fundamentals of crypto is unsolved at current, and Ironfish definitely steps in and solves that. I'm also a little bit of a person with a couple of computers and a bunch of other things, and now a bunch of GPUs. And so, like, I'm a miner. I'm a producer of cryptocurrencies. I write a lot of content, produce a lot of content on YouTube around creation of cryptocurrencies from a like miner standpoint. And so it's been really cool to watch the evolution of the mining software, particularly with Ironfish, as we've moved further and further forward. Now we're at GPU for the POW state of it. And from the early inception, it's been really fun because there's been some technical things that have been really interesting that are easy to explain to people, and then there's some things that are less easy to explain to people. And I just love doing it in video format. So, as a YouTuber, that's one of the things that I enjoy doing is producing tutorial content. And Ironfish has given me, I think, 7 or 8 videos worth of tutorial content so far, which I like that because there's a lot of content that needs to be updated over time. And all of the old video guides and stuff, I've nerfed those. All of it's redirected to the newest video guide. And I gotta say, I think that what happens next with Ironfish is probably the most exciting stage of what we see. Really excited for it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I just want to shill a little bit on Digital Spaceport. So the way we found out about Digital Spaceport is about a year ago. He made a video about how to install the newest miner for Ironfish that wasn't even on the master state, like on the master branch in GitHub. And he made such a great tutorial. Like we distributed internally, quite a bit of just being like in awe that someone made a high quality video tutorial on how to use, I think, like the staging branch of Ironfish just to get a feature that wasn't even merged in yet. And so we've been kind of reaching out ever since. And so I just want to, highlight how grateful and appreciative we are of all the contributions you've made. You've made so many high quality videos about Ironfish, about how to install it, about how to mine it. We've done interviews with you. You've even did an interview on our blog post about the community highlights. So I just want to say thank you for being part of the community. It's been quite an incredible journey, and you've been part of the community for over a year, which is hard to believe. So I just wanted to give a shout out and say thank you again.
Thanks, appreciate it. I think everybody had to be on that branch because it was like 4x the hash rate, if I'm remembering.
That's right.
It was an insane amount of additional hash rate when you got the Rust improvements in there.
Yeah. And that was all Matt, actually. So he's not here on stage today, but Matt has been quite an incredible engineer. He's been working with Rohan on the multi-asset feature as well. So, oh, cool. Matt is in chat. Yeah. So that was actually the week before Matt even joined Ironfish that he made that commit. So it's a pretty cool journey. Awesome.
And we're also
Cool.
going to hear from ProductGuy, who I've seen in the chat. Once he just has to request to speak, and we're going to get him on as well. Just as another community member that has really gone above and beyond, just creating content, working with the team, answering questions, and just really being a wonderful resource and welcoming atmosphere to our group. So as he gets ready to speak, I was hoping maybe Alina, you could kind of share more about why we're so excited about today and what Ironfish is offering to people.
Yeah, so this is a pretty special day for us, obviously. So first, I want to actually go over the history of Ironfish just a little bit. Ironfish has been a really long-standing project. We've been working on it for 4 years, which is pretty unreal. It has been definitely a non-linear path. The code base has been entirely rewritten about 2.5 to 3 years ago, roughly when Jason actually joined the company. And since then, every single part of the code base has actually been rewritten. So the company is roughly 4 years. The code base is 2.5, 3 years. So again, quite an incredible journey. We ran the longest test net that I think I've ever seen, which is a plus and a minus. And it's been an incredible journey because we have had one of the most engaging test nets that I have ever seen in crypto, like ever. In terms of participation of full nodes, in terms of participation from you guys of actually doing those activities. We have processed more zero knowledge proofs on our second testnet phase for Ironfish than pretty much any other blockchain ever. We processed 40 million transactions. A single transaction has multiple zero knowledge proofs attached to it. And that was quite an engineering feat because the majority of the code base is actually written in TypeScript. And so kudos for the team for doing all the optimization work in order to make that happen. And yeah, for what happens next, I see that ProductGuy kind of joined the stage, so I'm going to make it a little bit quick because we do want to definitely hear from him. For us, the goal has always been, how do we bring privacy to the crypto space? We have never seen Ironfish as competitive with other projects. In fact, we want to augment other projects. We want to bring privacy to other assets as well. Privacy is really hard to build. It's really hard technically, and it's really hard to get right. And that's why we chose to build from the ground up. That's why we chose to go with a layer 1 approach instead of a smart contract approach. Even though building an entire layer 1 is definitely the harder path, that is how you get privacy right. It's really hard to kind of sprinkle privacy on top when the fundamental system works on transparency. And so, the way we chose to do it is there is no opt-in option for privacy. Every single transaction is actually fully encrypted, and there's a zero knowledge proof that validates that transaction. In terms of what's going to happen post mainnet, we're going to continue on that vision. Mainnet is just the first step. How we've approached product development historically is we want to launch a product. We want to make sure that it works well and it works right and it's a good user experience. And then we move on to the next step. So mainnet is just that next step. And the steps following that is, how do we bring privacy to other crypto assets? How do we make Ironfish the privacy platform for all crypto assets? So there's a ton of really exciting things happening. But I'm going to give it over to ProductGuy because I'm super excited to hear from him. Welcome onto the stage.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks, team. Great to be here. Hi to all the community. I'm waving while you can't see me. I found this project and idea almost 2 years ago in June. I think privacy is really important. I like the U.S. Constitution, Fourth Amendment. You don't get surveilled unless there's prior separate. It's not. The word will come to me in a minute. But basically, there has to be external evidence before you get watched, right? So no fishing expeditions. So Ironfish prevents fishing expeditions by people who shouldn't be fishing by law and by morals, right? So. It's really important to me to support this project, and it's been fantastic working with the team. This is a great team. Early on, worked with Jason, and it's been fun to add in suggestions and really satisfying to support the community. And it's really great to see what it's become. Thanks, Elena, for starting this and for powering it. And thanks to the whole team. Great to see the team grow and great to achieve this day. Thank you all. Cheers. Best wishes to all.
Oh, thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to ProductGuy. ProductGuy is also a community member that has been with us for an extremely long time. I think like a year and a half, I want to say, if not more. I think you were here even before the first incentivized testnet, if I remember
Right.
correctly.
Yes.
So I guess I'm curious, how did you first find out about the project?
I honestly don't remember at this point. Which is weird because ordinarily I remember these kinds of things, but I came across it and I was intrigued and I looked into it and I said, yes, I want to participate in this. And I really like the privacy concept and I really like the usability idea of, and the fact that you could put it on a Mac. And so I fired up a node on a Mac and on my regular home Mac, which is 8 years old, and it worked. And so, and I just got more engaged with it. I was fascinated by it. I've been in crypto since 17, and both for fascination. I'm technical by origin and a product manager by profession now, and so it's a good blend of all the things that I'm interested in and that I'm passionate about. And I like that there's an upside opportunity, but I really like making the world a better place. I find meaning in contributing to this.
Aw, that is so sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're all huge proponents of privacy, and I think it's such an important thing to work on. But it's so great to hear those words from you. It's very validating. So thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
you're welcome.
and also thank you for all the support. You've been such a huge supporter of the team, of the project. You've been helping people for over a year to install their node, to answer questions about how the technology works. You've just been with us pretty much the entire step of the way, and so it's really special to have you here on stage with us today. And again, just really wanted to say thank you. We're so highly appreciative. And there's so many snapshots that we have internally in Slack of you kind of praising the team or giving us kudos, because again, those things actually are very encouraging to the team. so thank you so much. And it's been an incredible time working with you.
Thanks, and you're welcome. And I appreciate the recognition. And we lots of us people humans run on recognition, right? That's a big deal. That's a motivator. Cool. Well, thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Our community so much.
Our community is pretty great.
It is. I know we have about 13 minutes till Mainnet goes live, and so I'd love Elena, any engineers that are on the stage, talking a bit about the functionality that's coming in 13 or so minutes.
It might not be exactly 13 minutes. So what's happening right now is we are deploying 1.0.0, which is the mainnet version for Ironfish. So it may not be exactly 13 minutes, but the team is working hard to make it as close as possible to 13 minutes. So there are some questions that I'm already seeing, which is how is this different than BTC privacy? So I do want to talk about some of the other chains, especially proof of work chains, and how Ironfish differs. So firstly, Bitcoin is not a private chain. The way Bitcoin works is on transparency. If I send ProductGuy 1 Bitcoin, then every person in the world, every in the world has to be able to validate that transaction. And so every validator or full node actually has to see all the transactions prior that went into my wallet to see if I do indeed have that 1 Bitcoin that I'm trying to send to ProductGuy. So most chains actually work on transparency as the core mechanism for validating transactions. And what zero knowledge proofs allow you to do, or cryptography in general, is to prove something about data that you don't actually have to reveal. So for Ironfish in particular, every transaction is encrypted. So that information about the sensitive financial information about the transaction is not revealed to the world. And the validation happens through a zero knowledge proof. And zero knowledge proofs, you can kind of think of them as a way to prove honest computation, that a computation has happened correctly given the output without needing to see the input. So when we started in like 2019, zero knowledge proofs were pretty much synonymous with privacy because the only projects that were dealing with zero knowledge proofs were privacy related projects. Now, if you talk about zero knowledge proofs, most people think about scalability, like ZK rollups or layer twos. And that's, and again, zero knowledge proofs are just a tool. They can be used for either privacy or scalability or anything in between. There's a lot of other great applications that are happening right now with them as well. And so for Ironfish, again, every single transaction is encrypted, meaning that it hides the sender, the recipient, and the amount. That is why if you go to the Block Explorer, you'll see very little information about the actual transfers of assets. You'll see information about some of the new assets that are minted or some of the assets that are being burned, and we did that intentionally. But in terms of transferring assets, all of that information is actually private. In terms of how we differ from other layer ones, we do have the concept of private custom assets. We're the first and only layer one privacy chain that even has custom assets. And the reason why we did that is because we want bridge operators to work with Ironfish, bridge Ironfish to and from other chains, specifically other transparent chains like Ethereum, so we could in the future actually transfer assets from something like Ethereum onto Ironfish and how those assets benefit from the privacy that Ironfish provides. So you can kind of think of Ironfish as this generalized universal privacy layer that hopefully in the future will support many other chains as well. So that's kind of the future. But please ask us questions in the chat channel. I'm trying to read them as fast as possible. I do see a lot of questions about listing. Unfortunately, the team cannot talk about listing. We are a U.S. company, so we're just trying to tread the waters very carefully. But if you're interested, you can go reach out to your favorite exchange and see if they support us. I do see some questions about the GUI wallet. The GUI wallet right now is not 100% launched. So we are going to be launching it post mainnet. So if you're having problems with the GUI wallet, firstly, I'm not sure how you're getting access to it, but second of all, it's not fully launched yet. If you guys are interested in mining the day of, there is an entire wiki that we have with all the miners that have verbally committed to supporting us on day one. I can link it in the chat channel, but it's also it's in the GitHub. There was a question of, can we secure private keys with Ledger? Not yet. That is something we hope to work on in the future, but currently, no. Oh yes, we're all rushing to update for mainnet. I don't think that version is out yet, so stay tuned. All right, Meg, should we move on to any next topics?
Yes. If we grabbed as many of the questions that are there right now, then let's talk a bit about after mainnet and the foundation, because people have asked a lot about that. And so there will be more coming on that. But as people saw in our tokenomics, there is an Ironfish Foundation. We'll be sharing a lot more information about that in the coming weeks. But I know that people have asked, what it is and why it is. The purpose of it is to further engage with our community. As we've said, our community is our strongest asset, is what we care about. And we want to be able to collaborate, partner, grow the ecosystem of Ironfish as much as possible and enable more people to join that ecosystem. And I know that it's something that we're all feeling really passionate about. So we're not going to share all of it right now. As I said, that's coming in the future, but I wanted to at least mention it because it has come up a lot and give Alina the chance to talk about it a bit as well.
Awesome. So I did see a question actually come up that I want to address first, and It actually segues pretty well to the foundation conversation. So the question is, will Ironfish's anonymity be a problem for adoption and exchange listing, and will it violate any laundering laws? That is a great question. So this is a pretty huge concern for any privacy project of how do we launch a privacy crypto project and still stay compliant or ensure that regulated entities stay compliant. And I think like it's always been like theoretical threat. And then if you remember, roughly a year ago, we had the Tornado Cash sanctions happen. So if you guys are not familiar, I'm just going to talk about Tornado and what happened with Tornado really quick, because it does relate to Ironfish, as we are another privacy protocol. So Tornado Cash was an Ethereum privacy protocol, or an Ethereum smart contract that allowed people to deposit money into it, such that the person who withdraws the money out of Tornado Cash, the link between the sender and the recipient is broken. So you can kind of think of Tornado Cash as this like black pool. Unfortunately, the North Korea hackers, the Lazarus in particular, used Tornado Cash to launder a ton of money. We actually don't know how much. It's anywhere between 600 million and over $1 billion, but it's very large sums of money. And so the U.S. Treasury Department, which is a body of the government that has something called OFAC underneath it, decided to sanction Tornado Cash, meaning that it kind of mandated that no U.S. entity, business, person, or any U.S. kind of entity could interact with Tornado Cash. And so for the first time ever, it actually sanctioned an Ethereum smart contract, which was unprecedented, probably unlawful, and right now they are getting countersued by Coinbase and CoinDesk. But still, it was extremely damaging to the project, and Tornado Cash is effectively not operational anymore. So in terms of us, we are highly aware that privacy plus regulation is always going to be a very sensitive area. We strongly believe that privacy is here for the greater good. We need privacy in the world for a better, healthy society. We believe privacy is a human right. But it does bring up the question of how do we balance privacy while also deterring bad actors. So for Ironfish, we did make some changes that address some of those concerns. We did start off with Sapling. Sapling is the privacy mechanism for Zcash. And then we made some changes to the original Sapling protocol to make it so that regulated entities can stay more compliant while supporting Ironfish. So one thing we did is we really focused on the functionality of the view key. So for other privacy chains, and even Tornado Cash, the view key or the compliance tool, or whatever the name that they give for that functionality, honestly was not very useful. And I say this, and I say this humbly, because for Monero, for instance, the view key only shows you outgoing transactions. For Zcash, the view key does not show you the incoming sender. For Tornado Cash, the view key was per note, like per record effectively, which in the grand scheme of things was not very helpful. And so for Ironfish, we really focus on making sure that the view key is a full view key. So the view key for Ironfish does show you who the sender of the funds was, the amount, the timestamp, and all the information about the outgoing transactions as well. So with the view key, if you are a regulated entity like Coinbase, for instance, you could stay 100% compliant while supporting Ironfish. In fact, Ironfish, as it is today, is more similar to the non-crypto financial paradigm than crypto is today. Meaning that, if you go to your favorite coffee shop and you buy a coffee, your barista shouldn't know your entire income, all your friends, all the assets that you own, and so on. And so Ironfish in that regard is actually more similar to how we view financial privacy today. So this is an argument, that we are definitely pushing. I'm not going to hide the fact that being a privacy coin has been hard in terms of integration. But yeah, we're very, very excited to keep pressing forward. So then the next question that Meg was talking about was the foundation aspect. So when we think about company versus foundation, we do think of it as a separation of concerns. The reason why we're setting up the foundation and giving a very large chunk of the Genesis block to the foundation is so that the foundation can continue doing things like grants and proposals, and actually building out the Ironfish ecosystem and encouraging all of you guys to build on top of Ironfish, to build those bridges, to help us with wallets, to make Ironfish a very seamless component of the crypto ecosystem. And regulation is actually a huge part of that. So the Ironfish Foundation is going to work on regulation in terms of how we are in the process of hiring a full-time GC and we're already starting to make those connections to continue educating regulators and policymakers about the benefits of privacy, exactly how Ironfish works, and explain the differences between different privacy protocols. So there's a lot of work ahead of us. But yeah, in terms of the question was, firstly, what is the foundation's goal, and how do we think about the anonymity being a problem? Part of the job that the foundation is going to be doing, kind of like the Zcash Foundation, is continuously educating policymakers and all of the numerous bodies of government that the U.S. has to basically explain the differences of privacy and the benefits of privacy. Okay, that was a long rant. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. That passion and that that desire for a better future is part of what Ironfish is, right?
Indeed.
Oh, I love it. So now if we have any engineering updates, in the next few minutes, we can do that. Oh, Daniel just posted that the Genesis block will be released in 1 minute, but it'll be about another 20 to 30 minutes for the newest version of the node. So, keep an eye for updates there. And in the meantime, I want to point some people to other resources that we have out there. The Block posted an exclusive with Elena. They had a great interview, and that went live today. You can find the links in the general channel and also in the Twitter Aid channel, and all over Twitter. And we also have our Getting Started guide, which I'll be posting a few different links in the chat when I'm done speaking, to make sure that people can kind of start hopping around. I encourage you to, go look at our used section of the website, the new website that looks gorgeous, thanks to Skylar, who's also here. So, if you have website questions, Skylar's around. I saw someone ask who our design firm was a few days ago. I was like, we do not have one. We just have our awesome internal team, which is very exciting to say. So please continue to ask questions, see what's out there. If there's a piece of content that would be especially helpful as you get going, definitely also mention that or post it in the outreach channel. That's the kind of content I love to find out about. And we have Rohan on here. Daniel's on now. We have a bunch of engineers here as well now. So if anyone wants to speak as well about kind of like your journey at Ironfish, this is a party, so we can talk about what gets us excited. And then, we can't mine until we've updated our node. Correct. That is correct. We should also remind people that our airdrop is tomorrow. And so for eligible folks who participate in the testnet and successfully passed KYC, you will receive your airdrop. We'll be releasing more information about that as well. But Elena or Jason, is there anything to add there that people should know about?
I don't think so, but if people have questions, please let us know in the general channel. I think we're just waiting for the new release of Ironfish, so just watching out for that. So the question is, can we download version 1.0 now? No, it's being deployed right now, so you have to wait roughly 20 minutes.
So this is a good time to get up to speed on all our guides and making sure you have everything installing correctly and that you know what you're doing, basically, right? Be ready for it. Our engineers have worked hard on the content on the website to make sure that it's as helpful as possible. And not just the engineers, but also people like ProductGuy. I love the images. If y'all have other art and multimedia stuff you want to share in the channel, please do so. If anyone has cake that they got for the party, then show pictures of that too. I know that our San Francisco office has cupcakes and cinnamon rolls, which I'm jealous of as a remote employee. And we have some more technical questions coming up here. We won't need the solo node if we are pool mining and have the wallet already set up. Is that correct? I'm gonna leave those to Elena and the engineer.
So anyone can always solo mine, but I think at this point in time, solo mining is not going to give you high probability of finding a block. Your best bet is probably going to be joining a mining pool. Again, we've actually listed some of the mining pools that are already committed to supporting Ironfish on day one in our GitHub repository. I think the link was shared around, and I can share it again in the chat channel. But in theory, yes, anyone can always solo mine. It's just the probability of you finding a block is fairly small. Was our wallet for testnet the same for mainnet? So that's a great question. And this kind of opens up to how cryptography works. So if you have, for instance, have been developing with Ethereum, your testnet wallet is also a valid mainnet wallet. This is true for any chain. This is because your wallet is simply, like the private key for your wallet is simply a random number between the search space of 1 and 2 to the power of 256. And so technically any random number is a valid wallet. Do I have to update my node from testnet? Yes, the update is coming. Okay. Oh, sorry. I meant to find that link. This is also a community wiki, so if there are some mining pools that we have missed that you know of, feel free to propose a change to this page. That way it's up to date. For instance, someone actually just edited this page 4 hours ago, which is great. Thank you.
I also included a link to our Twitter announcement in the chat. So if anyone is on Twitter and wants to help us share the news, please do so. We definitely want folks to hear about us and know what's going on today, and really get in touch so that they're around for when more happens, right? Like as we've mentioned, we are going to keep building, and we're really excited about what's coming in the future. And I know that, oh, God.
Oh, no, I was just going to add on to that, especially if you are interested in zero knowledge proofs or cryptography or decentralized systems, please apply. We're always hiring. And once we set up the grant proposal or the grant proposal process from the foundation, and if you want to work on anything related to Ironfish, we want to set up a process such that you can actually submit for a grant to work on that without joining the company full time as well. But as always, Ironfish is an open source project, and we've had numerous people already commit to core Ironfish throughout the testnet phases, which is also extremely exciting to see.
I shared the getting started link in chat as well, so people can get there easily. And I know that there are more questions about the GUI wallet. For anyone who wasn't around earlier, stay tuned to that page on our website. You can sign up for updates, so you'll get a newsletter when that GUI wallet is ready.
Yeah, so the 20 minutes, so we're, I guess, 8 minutes into the 20 minutes. So we released the Genesis block, and now we're working on the 1.0.0 version release. So technically you could go to master branch and get it, but if you want to actually get it through Brew or Docker or through NPM, then you have to wait the remaining 15 or so minutes. Is there any wallet? So right now, Ironfish is a command line tool. So you could always use the command line tool interface to use as a wallet. We are working on a GUI wallet that will be releasing post mainnet. But yes, the command line tool technically is a wallet right now. Is it mainnet now? Not yet, because the version is not released yet, and we are not seeing mining activity until that happens. So that we have to wait 15-ish or so more minutes. What time tomorrow will the rewards send? So we have processed, I think, 60,000, give or take, participants who have KYC'd. We're going to be doing airdrops in batches. So it might take us a while to process 60,000 outputs, but we're going to be working all day tomorrow on that. So I can't answer exactly what time tomorrow because we need to process 60,000 people, but we're going to be doing our best.
Yeah, I want to really give a lot of kudos to our engineering team, who we know are awesome, but they have just put in so much work around the testnet airdrop process and KYC and everything. And I've just seen them work so hard in Slack to make sure that our users get the best experience possible. So I really want to call them out for their awesomeness.
Cool. All right. Keep the questions coming.
Will wallets be migrated automatically after updating the node?
Sorry, what was the question?
Will wallets be migrated automatically after upgrading the node?
They should be, yes. It depends on how you update the node. If you don't wipe your wallet's database, then yes. To qualify for the airdrop. So in order to qualify for the airdrop, you did need to participate in one of the testnet phases. And additionally, because again, we're a US company and we have to actually transfer assets to individuals, we did need to KYC all the participants. So the KYC phase ended a few days ago. So now it's pretty much locked in terms of the airdrop. And we already have, all that ready for tomorrow.
And because it has come up a bit on Twitter, I want to emphasize that we had to do KYC for the airdrop, but you do not need to KYC for mainnet or to use Ironfish.
So unfortunately, we cannot talk about exchange listings. I know a lot of people are asking this. So unfortunately, you're going to have to do some research in order to figure that information out. So yeah, the question was like, for people who fail their KYC, is there reward distributed among the people who successfully done their KYC? Effectively, yes. So what we saw, for any crypto project and for any incentivized testnet crypto related project, there are always going to be Sybils, meaning that one person is going to be hosting, many wallets or accounts or, many duplicate kind of handle names in order to maximize their rewards. If you're familiar with the Arbitrum airdrop, that has been pretty pervasive in their airdrop, and it's been kind of pervasive in the crypto ecosystem as a whole. So we did the KYC project primarily so we can stay compliant with US regulation. However, we did also use the KYC to dedupe Sybils, meaning that we've used that as a process to try and figure out duplicate accounts and trying to minimize the people who are trying to game the system. So we had actually over 400 or roughly 400,000 registered accounts across all three testnets. Out of that, we've determined that 170,000 have done at least one action on the testnet. Out of those, we had roughly 80,000 that we deemed were eligible based on some activity. And out of the 80,000, we had 60,000 who successfully passed their KYC. And so the airdrop is going to be distributed only to people who have passed their KYC successfully, and not to people who have not, I guess. So to answer your question, yes, if the duplicate accounts did not impact how many tokens were distributed to honest participants.
I also saw a question about how to claim tokens from the airdrop, and I've seen that in a few places. It will be in your Ironfish account, just like the tokens were for, or just your points were for the test net. I don't know if Elena or Jason, any of the engineers want to give more color to that.
Yeah, so during the KYC process, we did ask for your public address. The airdrop is going to go to the public address that you provided during the KYC process. There is no currently a web wallet. Again, we're working on a GUI wallet that will be released post mainnet. But again, the command line tool interface is also a wallet. So hopefully he did not lose the private key to the public key that you used for KYC. If you did, that is very unfortunate, because with all cryptocurrencies, if you lose your private key, you know, not your keys, not your money.
I also want to note that we have hit over 660 people in this Discord stage, which is amazing. And really, I think shows how much people care about privacy and care about finding a better way going forward to transact, and kind of, you know, make that more private, more encrypted, safer future that Elena talks about a lot in various interviews and such. Speaking of, Elena was recently featured on the Crypto Coin Show from Ashton. We've shared that around. I'll add the link in chat again, but I think that that interview especially shows kind of what our mission is and what our vision is. Ashton is a really good interviewer, and got some really great topics covered. Chat really quick to make sure we don't miss any questions.
I had really quick questions since we've got engineers
Please.
on back here. Can we, if we're interested in minting an asset ourselves, do we know roughly, or do we have any estimate yet on what we might be expecting as far as like fees and block size and the competition for block space? Is that gonna take a while to manifest post mainnet, or should you just go ahead and try to mint your asset right away, or should you wait a little bit, do you think?
Both are good. So we do have a fixed block size now. So depending on, like, we had a lot of questions about, you know, how big can a transaction get, how many outputs can we have, etc. That is determined by block size, which is part of the consensus rules. So if you go to network definitions, you can see that. So it really depends on the block size. But yeah, in terms of the ability to mint custom assets, you will be able to do that on day one, like as soon as this actually goes on.
Sweet.
Indeed. So the other question was, what happened to the tokens of the people who were excluded from the airdrop? So those tokens would be distributed to people who are included in the airdrop. So the people with duplicate accounts, the duplicate accounts did not count for the distribution of tokens. So the duplicate accounts did not harm your the amount of tokens that you would get, if that makes sense. Why is a KYC needed for the airdrop? That is a great question. We even wrote a blog post about it because that question was so common. And the reason for that is because Ironfish is a US company, and as such, we actually have to comply with sanctions rules that the US kind of mandates. So we actually needed to do a KYC to make sure that we're compliant with the sanctions rules from OFAC, which is part of the US Treasury. So again, it is unfortunate that a privacy coin project had to do KYC. We didn't like that either, but that was the only way that we could actually conduct the airdrop.
Question about future airdrops here.
Yeah, so we committed to doing future airdrops to, again, make sure the community is engaged and that we can reward people who have been amazing community members. To be honest, we have followed the optimism model quite a bit when making that decision. I think the way they are starting to build their community is very good. And so we did get a lot of tips from their team in terms of how to work with a healthy community and how to build a healthy community. And so we did kind of look into that. So the future airdrops is something that's undetermined for now. We actually left that as a flexibility for us to again to like make sure the community is happy going forward. Another question: are you committed to mitigate ASICs coming to the network? Will you fork, or do you have other plans to remain ASIC resistant? So that is a great question. We actually don't think ASICs are bad. And let me kind of talk about that a little bit more. So the hashing algorithm that we chose is Blake 3. To my knowledge, there is no other layer 1 that uses Blake 3 as your hashing algorithm. What this means is that if there is an ASIC that comes online, that means that someone actually invested millions and millions of dollars to do hardware, to do ASIC development and hardware manufacturing to actually support the Ironfish network. And because there's no other layer 1 that supports Blake 3, that ASIC manufacturer or that binding pool that has the ASIC is going to be very loyal to Ironfish because there's no other chain that they would be able to switch to. Lithium has been used in Blake 3. Okay, it's good to know. I've never heard of lithium, so I don't think I'm too worried, but we'll see. ASIC is not available to the common man. I mean, I don't think that's actually true, but Blake 3 also has a GPU implementation as well. ASICs directly go against decentralization. I don't think that's true either. Again, it actually makes it so there's more efficiency in terms of mining. Oh boy, there's so many comments. I'm trying to keep up.
Just to answer the question about the airdrop, as Alina mentioned earlier, there are thousands of accounts to airdrop to, and so we cannot give an exact time right now, but it will be happening tomorrow.
Yes, so we are all waiting for version 1.0. It is still being released. Danielle kind of gave us a 20-minute estimate, which was roughly 20 minutes ago, so hopefully it's soon.
I think it shows how technology is really more of an art than a science, and just how on top of things our engineers are with giving us updates and making sure that we all stay aware of what's happening, which I appreciate. And it gives us more time to answer questions, which is always good because we love interacting with the community and hearing from y'all. Through some of the basic questions. Also, speaking of resources, wanted to point towards, we mentioned how Digital Spaceport has made a bunch of content. He did create a mining on day 1 video for Windows. And so if you want to talk a little bit about that, DSP, for folks who might want to jump on, because I know that our Windows content is not as extensive on our website. So I'm glad that you've created that.
Yeah, so I mean, Windows is a very large user base in the digital crypto production community. So I just, saw that that was something that there would definitely be a need for. And the guide basically walks you through downloading, installing Node.js, pulling the latest Ironfish down, setting up your own node. You can bootstrap and get a little bit faster sync time by downloading a snapshot of the database. But since we're going to get Genesis block here, it's going to be really fast. So you probably don't have to do that at this moment. So it's really just geared towards setting up your own full node, getting your wallet address, and then using your wallet address to connect to a stratum, and that stratum would be able to essentially connect you to one of the mining pools. You really do at this point, in all reality, have to consider GPUs are your only viable option for mining, and at the same time, you also definitely want to probably be on a mining pool unless you have like a ridiculous amount of GPUs hanging around. It's going to be pretty hard to go solo. But I do encourage everybody to run your own full node and set that up, keep that running. Having good distribution of full nodes is a core fundamental of a lot of blockchains out there. And so part of my guide was running through and doing that. And as we see, new things come out like the desktop client and stuff, these things will probably just become so much easier. But for right now, run your full node, get your address. If you've got a GPU, I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at what am I? 45 gigahash. And I'm like super small. I know people that are like way over that. Like I know some people in terahash, like just themselves. So I mean, it's small, but also at the same time, you're minting the blocks. As this mainnet rolls out, you're doing the work that propagates the chain and moves it forward. And it's interesting to see. It's not something you see very often. The mainnet launch of a proxy crypto, and so that's why I'm in. And I think Windows is a huge user base out there. I know I'm going to have some Linux content coming out, and definitely set up your full node, keep it running, help the chain progress.
Great, thank you. I know I saw a question in there. Will your consensus mechanism stay proof of work? Elena or Jason or Rohan?
Yeah, so in the next foreseeable future, we're sticking with proof of work. We have no current plans to move away from proof of work. That might change in the future, but currently there are no plans to move away from proof of work. The reason why we even went with proof of work in the first place, even though most of the new projects are going to proof of stake, is that we still believe proof of work is the best way to reach decentralization. So to kind of give you a little bit of comparison points, some of the newer proof of stake projects that launched, they have, maybe several hundred validators. Solana, for instance, which is not quite proof of stake, but close enough, has roughly 1,000 and is a very hype type project. For Ironfish testnet phase 2, we had 11,000 nodes, and for testnet phase 3, we had 60,000 nodes. And again, we kind of believe that if you make it very easy for people to participate and lower the friction for people to participate, then more people will participate. So for Ironfish, we made it really easy for anyone to install a full node. All you have to do is type npm install -g Ironfish. And there you go. You now have a full Ironfish full node on your computer. If you want to start the node, you have to just open up a new terminal, type Ironfish start, and your node will automatically start syncing. You don't have to do anything weird with port forwarding or any weird settings in your router. It'll just start working. So we kind of have had this philosophy every single step of the way to make it really accessible, even though it's a highly technical product. And again, I think proof of work is actually the easiest way for people to get onboarded because it reduces that extra friction of someone needing to buy initial capital to even to participate. So we are, we think proof of work is the best way for decentralization. So we'll stick with it in the foreseeable future. I'm not saying that won't change in the future, but we have no plans of changing right now.
Can I ask real quick if there's any plans for a Stratum V2 migration in the future, or are you going to pretty much be on Stratum V1 for the foreseeable future?
That's interesting because when we were looking at Stratum, we talked to Matt Corello, who was one of the core contributors to Stratum V2. And Stratum V2, by like all measures, is better than Stratum V1. And yet, there's still a huge dominance of people still using Stratum V1. I'm not sure if that's true to this day, so I would love to kind of hear your opinion about it. But when we talked to Matt, even though he acknowledged that Stratum V2 is better, unfortunately, people still did not upgrade. So I'm kind of curious, from your experience, are you finally seeing Stratum V2 catching more attention?
I think, what happens with Bitcoin will probably dictate a lot of what Stratum V2's uptake is, um, as far as like market receptivity, and we're yet to see that fully, manifest. But I think it is, as far as consensus security, a really awesome mechanism, and for sure being much. Yeah, I think it's early, but yeah, I would. I mean, I was thinking of it because it's like you guys are cutting edge, and it's like that is pretty much cutting edge Stratum V2. So I was just like, it was just a question. I have no idea if it's better or not. I don't understand core technicals of 100% of why it's better, aside from where formation happens, which is kind of abstract a little bit in proof of work sometimes. But as far as proof of work goes, I personally feel Stratum V2 is a really good mechanism moving forward based upon like 3 or 4 articles I've read that make it sound like it's probably going to be a much better idea. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just was interested in being I mean, proof of work does work. There's a reason Bitcoin works. It's because it does work. Is it energy inefficient? Yeah, it can get to that point. But at the same time, like it does work. So as far as consensus mechanism, I think you guys' choice of proof of work makes total sense because it does work. It is probably the best proven tech out there. So yeah, I'm just interested to see what happens next, because I know that we've got so much in the regulatory sphere, and like even with the KYC, you guys had to have some plans, kind of like, hey, we're gonna have to do the KYC thing, and like a lot happens on the fly. So I just keep my eyes on like the regulatory as much as I can, but there is so much; it's very hard to do.
Gotcha. There were some other questions in the chat channel. How do you compare yourself to Monero? So we work quite differently from Monero. So Monero does not use zero knowledge proofs as their main privacy mechanism. They use something called confidential, confidential transactions. um, and the biggest difference between like Monero and Zcash that Ironfish has is we do have multi-asset support. Again, we're not trying to compete with other chains. We're actually trying to be the privacy platform that supports other assets. Whereas Monero just supports Monero, and Monero continues to build privacy for Monero. Ironfish is trying to make it so that privacy is accessible to other assets as well.
And there's a question here about you talked earlier about integration with other blockchains. Do you have any plans for collaborating with any proof of work or other Web3 blockchains?
Yeah, so this is definitely something we're going to focus post mainnet of actually building those bridge integrations to and from Ironfish. One of the things that we're really excited about is how do we actually bridge to Bitcoin? There is currently no way to have fully private Bitcoin. There are definitely ways to do mixers and wallets that provide some privacy for Bitcoin, but there's not really a true private Bitcoin solution. So we're super excited to figure out a way to bridge to Bitcoin, so that we can have Bitcoin on Ironfish.
I think pushing those limits of what is possible with private crypto and how people can use it is definitely something we're going to be focused on in the future, and just thinking of things that haven't happened before, which is hard to do. So I'm really glad that we have such a creative team and such a creative community, so that when those grants start coming in, we'll really start to look at changing how things are done and thinking outside the box.
Someone said Monero is about anonymity, but Ironfish is about privacy. Is that true? So firstly, building a privacy project is extremely hard. And so I am extremely grateful for everyone in the space who has been working on privacy. Monero is definitely one of the older projects and has a lot of the OG crypto members who are really diehard about privacy. And so again, huge admiration for anyone working in the privacy space. It is hard. I also want to mention some of the other privacy projects that are coming online. There's Aztec, if you're familiar with them. There's Alio. There's Anoma, if you're familiar with them. Obviously, Zcash has been doing incredible work in this space. There's Manta Network, and there's many, many others that I've not mentioned. We're all trying to kind of approach privacy in slightly different ways, which I think is a good thing, because competition in the market means that the community is going to get a better privacy product. And we're all experimenting with how to approach privacy in different ways. So the fact that we have differences between other privacy projects, I think, again, is a good thing, because we're all trying to experiment and see what's working. Right now, I think it is actually safe to say that there is no privacy project that is reaching mass adoption, because privacy is hard from a technical perspective, from a user perspective, and also from a regulatory perspective to actually launch it in any real scale. So when talking about differences between Ironfish and other privacy projects, I do want to preface that we are just super appreciative of anyone trying to work in the space, because that means we have more allies who are vouching for privacy and who are kind of selling this vision that privacy is a human right.
Thank you, bacon, eggs, and hash. Appreciate it.
I do want to kind of ask the crowd, are people familiar with April 20th and what 420 means? And I ask this earnestly because in the United States, usually you go month, date, year. And so April 20th is 420. But a lot of people have been very excited about 20.04, which was kind of disappointing, but the majority of our user base is actually from Europe, and so 20.04 is not quite what we were going for.
I'm over here laughing incredibly hard right now, but I flew to a different state because usually Texas isn't quite the 420 state. So I'm in a different state right now that allows 420.
Sorry, where are you now? In what state?
I'm in a different state for privacy reasons. I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's a state that allows the 420 recreation.
Got it. Well, I hope you celebrate well.
Oh, I love the hashtag Snoop, the puff puff pass. These are good. These are good. We were pretty excited, because it's always fun to have something to wrap a launch around. And so we had Pi Day before, and now making sure, and I don't think it was on purpose, right, Elena? It was just we were looking at what worked best for the engineering team and to make sure it was all right. And 420 was the best day.
Yeah. So if you guys have been long-term members of the community, you know that we originally wanted to launch on March 14th, which was Pi Day, again, because in the United States it goes month, day, year. So March 14th is 3.14, which is the start of Pi Day. However, that didn't happen, and so the next holiday that we hit was 420.
Hello.
All right.
Technical announcement. We actually have released version 1.0. We have 7 blocks on the network so far. 7 blocks have been mined. We're currently waiting to get the Genesis block. We're waiting to get the block explorer up and running. As soon as we have that, you'll be able to see all the 7 blocks. Remember, version 1.0.0 is released. You can install it using npm, Docker, or brew. So it is ready now for you. And just a little reminder, Ironfish is working on a GUI wallet. You can see the source code on our repository in GitHub, but please don't use it. It's not ready yet. A lot of people are wondering why it's not working. It's currently something we're working on. A lot of people are asking us about it right now.
We just noticed that there was a kind of a YouTuber who was advertising the wallet app. The wallet app currently is not fully released. So even though it is all public, open source and public, because again, we kind of value working in the public, it's not quite done yet. And so if you are having problems with the wallet, especially for Mainnet, it's again not officially released yet.
So we've gone a little bit over time, which is fine. We love hanging out with everyone. You know, now Mainnet is up. I know everyone's going to be jumping on things. Please do continue to ask questions. You know, in the relevant channels and Discord, we're here. The engineers are here. We're super excited to move on to the next step. As Elena has said, this is really, you know, it's not the end, it's just a foundational step towards what we're building in the future. So lots of promise today, lots of excitement, and we really appreciate you all joining us here. We're at still 620 of you. Oh, thank you. Any final remarks from Elena or engineers? Do you guys want to hang on and answer some more questions? I know since we're over time, it's kind of up to y'all.
I just wanted to, again, do a shout out to OreoScan. OreoScan is the kind of community built block explorer for Ironfish. And I'm just super impressed because there have been times when OreoScan actually had more features than the official block explorer for Ironfish. And so it's really cool to see that OreoScan is the first one to be reporting all the new blocks that are happening. So thank you. Cool. Since we're wrapping up, I also wanted to kind of, again, thank the team. We have had an incredible team. I think you are all familiar with Jason. He has been answering your questions nonstop in all the channels and has really been helping, as well as every single other person of the engineering Ironfish team. We're actually one of the leaner teams for a layer 1 crypto project that's going to be launching like this. And so our engineers are incredible. They have incredible backgrounds, firstly. Some of them have not worked with crypto before or have maybe done some hobby work with crypto before. And now I can definitely say that they're probably world experts in layer 1 blockchain technology because there are very few people who have built an entire layer 1 blockchain from scratch and has tested it at scale. Again, I want to emphasize that the second and the third testnet for Ironfish definitely stress tested the technology. We had 60,000 nodes online. Again, processing over 40 million transactions, all with zero knowledge proofs. So this is an incredible engineering feat. This is a scale that very few other even mainnet projects, let alone testnet projects, have reached. And again, huge shout out for the team to actually do that. And then again, I want to shout out to the community. We have had so many great people who have translated all of our articles to different languages, who have made YouTube videos, who have answered questions on Discord, other community members who have kind of stuck with us for over a year throughout the entire history of the project. We have had privacy advocates. We've had like mining advocates and hobbyists and enthusiasts. And obviously, we've had professional mining pools as well interact with the ecosystem, and so it's just an incredible moment to kind of finally see this project come to fruition, and having this incredible community support this project and make sure that it's successful and healthy going forward. Definitely could not have done this without you. Every single time we get a kudos or a comment in the Discord channel, it is extremely motivating to the team to keep going. So again, thank you for all the kind words, and thank you for being such an amazing community. I think we've also built probably one of the most healthy communities in crypto. Everyone has been incredibly inquisitive about the project, actually genuinely curious about the technology and not just about price, which is really cool to see. And again, just extremely motivating. I also kind of want to, mention that having such a healthy community and having almost 50,000 people in our Discord, again, many of those who are contributing to Ironfish directly or indirectly, it goes directly to our message of decentralization. Every single thing that we've done is to increase decentralization from having all of our work be completely in the open source, sharing with you guys with every step of the way exactly what we want to do, exactly what is being built, and again encouraging open source development, encouraging the community to flourish. And so you are actually making this project more decentralized, and we want to extend a huge thank you for doing this. But
Love
thank you. Mainnet is just the first step. We're going to be continuing working on making Ironfish better, on increasing decentralization, increasing the community. We hope to, keep expanding how awesome this community is, and all the activity that's been happening. It's really incredible to see the mining power, honestly. I know like a lot of you are commenting this on in the chat, but it's again, we did not think that we're gonna reach this level of mining hash power. So this is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that was I love that as an ending thing, because we do have just the most welcoming community, I think, in crypto. I've been so impressed, and I know that that will continue because of y'all. So please continue to ask questions, ping us on Discord, but otherwise, happy Mainnet Day, y'all. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in Discord.
Yeah, we're all going to be here on Discord. I know that everyone is from different time zones, but we're going to be here all day. So please ask us questions in the general channel and the questions channel. We're definitely here. Yeah, this has been incredible. Happy Mainnet Day. Woo!
Hey, y'all.
Happy 420. All right. Bye.